Hi, welcome to the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy, and comment your thoughts and opinions on the stories. Let's get started. Am I the antagonist for telling my male friend, quite rudely, that I'm not interested in him after he made a big romantic gesture? Okay, so I know the title sounds bad, but hear me out. I'm F21 and my fiancée May, fake name, F20, and we are getting married in July 2023. I love her to the moon and back, and I'm so glad I get to spend the rest of my life with her. I started dating my fiancée in year 13th, so I was 18, and she was 17. We have had a few arguments, and when I did I would confide in my male best friend. I'll call him Jake. Jake was always the kindest person and my second favorite person after my girlfriend, now fiancée. I'm a very open lesbian, and go to Pride every year and spread relationship stuff online, as long as May is okay with it. Okay, so now you have context. Here is where the problem started. I proposed to May in April of 2022, and she said yes. In late April we announced it online so everyone, except our families, could find out. The day after the announcement, Jake sent me a paragraph about how May was cheating on me with a guy I will call Mark. May is also a very open lesbian, so I knew this was fake. I told him this, and he said she was faking her lesbianism to hide this relationship. Firstly, this is BS for obvious reasons, but also she comes from a very Muslim background and spent the first 8 years of her life in Iran. Coming out was a very long and difficult journey for her, as her parents took a lot of time to even let her live with them. Jake doesn't know this as it's not his business. She's okay with me saying it here as it's anonymous. I talked to May about it, and she said it was not true. She even showed me her phone and she didn't know the guy she was supposedly cheating on me with. I told Jake to cut the BS and just didn't reply to him, as this hurt May deeply, and she always comes first for me. Things quietened down until a week ago, when Jake came to my door with flowers, a load of his friends, and signs asking me to go out with him. I still remember what I said, so I'll say it here. Jake, you were one of the first people I came out to. You know I don't like men. I have never seen you as more than a brother, and I never will. You can't come knocking on my door with men I barely know and make me feel uncomfortable and threaten to say yes. The answer is no. Don't try again. He said something else, but I just slammed the door in his face and went to May and cried on her shoulder. I felt betrayed by Jake and disgusted in myself that I didn't realize it earlier. I have tried to focus on my wedding, but I keep getting messages from Jake's friends saying to give him a chance, and one even said trust me, he's a great boyfriend, to which I replied you date him then. After that, I stopped replying, and I'm in shock that someone I have been friends with since the start of high school is that self-centered. All his family is calling me an asshole except his sister, my maid of honor, and I don't think I am, but I want some unbiased views on this. So, am I the antagonist? I truly feel terrible for you. This is both repulsive and tragic. He attempted to sabotage you and her out of his own vile, self-serving desires. Here, you are the victim. This battle does not have two sides. It's as obvious as it possibly can be. Comment by team member Cody. Now for the top comments. Honey, you were not rude enough to this man. Absolutely not the a-hole. How was she even rude? Is this post from some sort of subtle culture that I'm too yeehaw Yankee to understand? Absolutely not the a-hole. Block him, and his bud is backing him up. He's probably told his family a completely different story, so if you feel so inclined, have his sister set the record straight on your behalf, or go talk to them if you feel you can, though if they've known you to be gay and are taking his side, it's likely they won't listen. You don't need people like that in your and your soon-to-be wife's lives. Not only is Op a lesbian, but she is engaged, about to be married. How dare he ask her out? NTA, but you date him then is the correct answer to this. NTA. And please don't think for a second you are. Jake is delusional and way outline. You have been open and honest with him about everything. This is how he repays you? Basically telling you that you are wrong about your own sexuality and asking you to give him a chance. That is next level crazy. Don't let him and his actions ruin a special time for you or your lady love. Cut him off if that's what you want, and be done with it. You have a wedding to plan and a wonderful marriage to start. Am I the antagonist for letting my son talk to our neighbors? My son has a passion for languages that I like to encourage because it will definitely help him in life. My wife speaks English and Arabic, and I only speak English. Growing up, my wife and her family spoke to our son in Arabic, and he speaks both fluently. 2 years ago, when he was 7, my sister told me about that Duolingo app, and I downloaded it, hoping to learn Spanish to help me at work. A lot of my coworkers don't speak English. My son was fascinated and wanted to do it too, so I downloaded it on his tablet. He stuck with it long after I gave up. Muidisl. Lol. My son has actually gotten pretty good. We recently moved to a new house, and one of our neighbors a few houses down is a multi-generational Hispanic family. They are very friendly and even brought us food our first night here. The old grandpa likes to sit on the front porch and chew tobacco, and my son likes to go over there and talk to him. At first he would just go say hello, but lately they have been having longer conversations. My wife says we need to curb this. She said that it's not okay for our son to bother our neighbor for an hour or more almost every day. She also doesn't like that we have no idea what they are talking about. She thinks it's okay for him to say hi, but our son shouldn't be hanging out on their porch with this man we don't really know. First of all, I don't think our son is bothering him. I think the guy is bored and lonely. Otherwise he wouldn't be engaging in the conversations. Second, I asked my son what they were talking about, and while it's not the same thing every day, it's usually stuff like favorite foods or old pets or other random inoffensive things. Lastly, we can see him from our yard. My wife wants us to tell our son no more long visits. I'm hesitant to agree, and she's mad. My Miel called and said I'm being an ass to my wife. Am I? Make sure the neighbor is comfortable with your child's extended visits by going down to check. He probably enjoys them and uses them to assist your youngs to improve his Spanish. Your son could even translate if some of them only speak Spanish and demonstrate his prowess to you and his mother. Comment by team member Parker. Now for the top comments. NTA. Firstly, how old is your son, and secondly, have you asked your wife would she be so bothered if he was speaking to someone with her ethnic background? It sounds like your son is doing quite a lovely thing for an old man who seems lonely. Maybe you guys should invite him over to your porch for a drink and cookies so you can get to know him a bit better. He's 9. And hell no, I'm not asking her that. I like my anatomy where it is. But yeah, I'll ask her about inviting that family over. We are still getting settled in the new house, but everything is finally unpacked. So good time for guests. NTA. Even if the older gentleman does not speak English, you say it is a multi-generational household, so presumably there is an English speaker in the house you can follow up with. Go introduce yourself. Say hello. Explain that your son enjoys the man's company and you just want to make sure that he isn't being a pest. You will know for sure, and you will have reached out to neighbors. Win-win. I use Duolingo and Rosetta Stone, and I bother everyone I know that speaks Spanish. So far everyone has been absolutely lovely in helping me learn. Oh yeah, good point. That seems like such an easy solution. Know that I hear, read it. Yeah, I should talk to his daughter-in-law. She speaks English. Am I the antagonist for not telling a guy the name of the company I work at? I, 22F, work as a graphic designer at a decent company. Recently a friend of mine texted me saying how a friend of hers saw my picture on her story. She posted a picture of us together and thought I was cute and was wondering if he could DM me. She told me he was a graphic designer as well and had same interests as me. I thought there's no harm in talking. If I don't feel comfortable, I can just always end the conversation. So she gave the guy a green signal and he texted me. He was polite and sweet. We had barely been talking for 2 days at that point when the conversation suddenly reached about our jobs. He was telling me about his job and roles, so I shared some vague information about my work as well. Then he asked me where did I work. I asked him what he meant, and he specified that he wanted to know the company I worked at. Now it might not seem like a big deal, but in the past, multiple times I have had instances where guys who I shared any info about where I live, worked, or went to college to hadn't ended well. The last guy knew where I worked, and after I ended things after the first date had showed up at my work and sent spam emails to the hours. So since then I had been careful about sharing any personal details with anyone that I don't trust 100%. So when this guy asked for my company's name, I politely told him that I currently don't feel comfortable sharing the name, but eventually if we get closer then I wouldn't mind. He said okay and dropped it for then. The next day he brought up the same question again and I repeated the same thing. But when he brought it up for the third time, I kinda blew up at him and blocked him. Around an hour later my friend who initially told me about him sent me a long text saying how I was rude to her friend and how I was acting ungrateful after being set up and that I was embarrassing her. I explained the situation to her and she said that it wasn't really a big deal. She suggested the guy to me and I should have trusted her judgment, and blocking him and yelling at him was a BTCH move. She called me an asshole and told some of our friends how ungrateful I am. I personally don't believe that I did anything wrong, but since most of our friends are taking her side, I'm worried that maybe I could have handled it better. So am I the antagonist? Tadudes is an R and will absolutely stalk you. Your friend shares this trait. She merely wants to feel special. Wow. She handed the guy who asked her your phone number. Will she eradicate poverty or cancer today? Comment by team member Shannon. Now for the top comments. NTA. You have a very reasonable boundary, with a history behind it. The guy behaved badly, and your friend sucks for taking his side. Like what does Op have to be grateful for? That friend set her up with somebody pushy who won't take no for an answer? Like thanks for nothing. NTA ungrateful? Let me get this straight. You're supposed to be grateful for being set up with a man, and then be so grateful you ignore personal boundaries? My god. You are not the asshole in this situation. Also grateful for what part exactly? This guy reached out to the friend, it's not like she did much work to get OO set up lol. NTA. You explained that it made you feel uncomfortable and the reason why. He should respected it and your friend really should understand why you'd be cautious. Okay, to be fair, I didn't tell the guy the reason as to why I'm uncomfortable with sharing the name. Though I don't think I'm obligated to justify the reason. What keeps bothering me is maybe I should have explained why it's making me uncomfortable. NTA. Very suspicious he wouldn't let something like that drop. Friend is also an R for acting like she needs to. He worshipped her for sending this R-Op's way. Am I the antagonist for exposing and humiliating my friend? Hi. I, 25 male, recently bought a Chuck Taylor 70 online. The size didn't fit, so I asked a friend R, 25F, whether she wanted it or not. She said yes. I asked whether she wanted to try it on first. She said no. 2 weeks later I found out that she already sold the shoes and pocketed the money. I got real mad, but I didn't do anything until yesterday. R and I were having lunch with few other friends. Conversation about shoes came out, so I casually asked about the shoes I gave her. Me, do you like the Converse I gave you? I like the shoes a lot. Thanks. Me, I thought you already sold the shoes and took the money. Did you even wear it? She got real embarrassed and left. Few hours later, one of her BFFs said I'm an asshole because I gave her the shoes and she can do whatever she wants with it. Am I the antagonist? Although what she did with the shoes was a brilliant move, your bringing it up in front of a buddy was childish, passive aggressive, and a wonderful way to start a fight. People who act dishonestly towards their friends forfeit any benefit of etiquette. Comment by team member Jordan. Now for the top comments. NTA. It sounds like she took them with the intention of selling them. It just seems dishonest for her to do that without telling you her intentions before accepting them. Does she need to if he is giving them to her? NTA. If your friend doesn't understand that you were giving her a gift and not merchandise to wrestle, she isn't that much of a friend. NTA. She scammed you and then lied about it. It's supposed to be your fault she embarrassed herself. The people that want to blame you for this always show up in similar situations. In their view, you caused the problem by not accepting her actions. If you would just accept bad behavior, everything would be fine, right? If I was in your friend group I would think the way you handled it was hilarious and I would respect you more. You gave her the chance to say they didn't fit, so she sold them, but she thinks her mastermind scheme was so solid it couldn't fail. It's not the money obviously, since you could have done the same thing yourself. It's the principle, and she didn't try them on because it was all about selling them from the start. She and anyone with a problem with you letting her know aren't worth worrying about their opinions. I wouldn't act like it was a big deal, but I wouldn't pretend I didn't know to spare her feelings either. Am I the antagonist for telling my boyfriend's friends I make twice what he does? When they called me a gold digger and he didn't defend me? I'm in a relationship with a guy who also works in tech. He makes 68k and I make 130k. I'm a mechanical engineer at a robotics startup. He works at a more stable job doing programming at a large company. He brought me to meet his friends at a party and they asked me about myself. His friends mostly work in tech too, and talked about themselves in terms of their jobs. I told them I'm an hiker. I do archery. I love road trips, and camping and riding dirt bikes, etc. Basically talking about my hobbies, because work is just a way to get paid to do the shit I love. It's not how I define myself, and it doesn't come to mind when someone wants me to tell them about myself. One of his friends asked about work, and I said oh gosh, I don't wanna talk about work at a party. Spent my whole day sweating my ass off in 95-degree heat trying to replace this busted ass motor, just to find the replacement part was also fucked. I wasn't lying or trying to downplay that I have a good job. That really is how I spent my day, and I wasn't in the mood to talk shop at a party. Some other conversations came up casually that probably also made me seem poorer, like me saying that car dealership repairs were a ripoff, and telling my boyfriend that my childhood neighbor's trailer caught on fire and I was gonna visit and help her out. I wasn't doing it on purpose. I was literally just talking about my life. But I guess I gave the impression I was poorer. It got later in the night. Everyone was getting drunker. And some of his friends, not close ones though, were making jokes about me growing up in a trailer and being a gold digger and being ready to jump to a richer guy. Really misogynistic shit honestly, since they don't even know me and seem to just assume all girls are good diggers. He didn't say anything. He later said it was because he'd smoked weed and gets quiet and has trouble carrying on a quick conversation when he's high. But regardless, I felt hurt he didn't say anything. I got irritated with his friends and asked now, why the hell would you say that when I make twice what he does? His friends went quiet for a second and I continued saying there ain't no gold to dig here. Not with him or anyone at this party. So do y'all think I'm cheap? Or do y'all think I'm stupid? My boyfriend wanted to leave the party shortly after and he was pretty upset with me for telling everyone I make twice what he does. I said I would have held my tongue if he checked his friends himself. But he didn't say anything, so I wasn't about to let them talk to me like that. He said it was humiliating, and now everyone thinks I'm a bitch. And I flippantly said at least they know I'm a rich bitch. He was angry I embarrassed him when I spoke up. I was angry I had to say anything at all, because his friends were talking shit, so it should be on him to check them. Stuff is still tense. Am I the antagonist for explaining why I'm not a gold digger? Even in a dink family, where I make $68k, that's where I'd start to feel comfortable at most. He didn't want to be emasculated by earning less, but it only applies to young, envious males who lack the strength to stand up for themselves. Comment by team member Charlie. Now for the top comments. NTA. Enjoy your awesome life, rich bitch. Please prevent the robot uprising. I don't have to try. The biggest secret about robotics is how stupid robots actually are. NTA. His friends sound like those dudes that whine that they can't get GFS. Think they deserve supermodels, but then are complete misogynists. BF got his ego bruised that you let it be known you earn him. He'll get over it, or he's stuck in the patriarchal ideal that the man is supposed to be the main breadwinner. You're so right. Before they started shit talking me specifically, they were talking about how hard it is to work in tech and find a woman who wants you for more than your money. I think what they meant to say was that it was hard for them to work in tech and find a woman who wants them. Full stop. Like I don't even think it was about me. I think they just had this idea in their heads about how women are, and I was just a convenient woman nearby to make an example of. Like look at Op's boyfriend. His girlfriend grew up in a trailer park. No wonder she's into him. NTA he got upset you corrected their insults. You weren't bragging. NTA your boyfriend chooses to hang out with people who are misogynistic and judgmental. He chooses to stay silent when they aim their vitriol at you. And then he chooses to direct his anger and shame at you for refusing to let yourself be treated like trash. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Am I the antagonist for not supporting my sister-in-law's mom blog Instagram? My husband's sister and I don't really get along. She's been spoiled her whole life and is very self-centered and just not very nice. Unsurprisingly, she's never had friends. So in my younger less life experienced years, I would hang out with her when she asked, but it never went well. So I stopped. Now we stick to very surface level conversations at family gatherings, and everything goes just fine. We both have 2 young children. She's a SAHM. I own and operate a small business during nap time and after bedtime. So we both kind of live SAHM daily lives. But I do work as well. She relies very heavily on her in-laws and parents for childcare. Almost daily. Often for the entire day. Sometimes overnight. She recently started a mom life focused Instagram where she shares advice on what things to buy for kids with affiliate links, where to take kids in their area, and just general parenting advice. Most of this is just recycled content from other very popular mom life focused Instagram pages, since she doesn't actually spend that much time with her kids, but she puts a lot of effort into recording and editing the videos. She's reached about 150 followers and hosts frequent giveaways to try to get more, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of interest in what she's posting, and she doesn't have a real life friend base to share her content for her to really get her started. My business has a pretty successful social media plan, so she asked if I would start sharing her content to drive my followers to her Instagram. I said no, for the following reasons. 1. I don't actually have much to do with my business's social media, because I have a part-time marketing person who does it for me. Beyond filming videos every couple of months as my marketing person directs me, I don't touch it. 2. My business is very niche, and all of my followers are following me for that very specific content. It is not parenting related at all. I've never even mentioned my kids on it, because that's just not what it's for. 3. I don't think her Instagram use is good for her mental health at all. I only shared reasons 1 and 2 with her, so as not to hurt her feelings. But that didn't work. She insists that it will only be a few shares a month, and that I should start posting more mom life stuff about myself anyway. But I just really don't want to get involved with her Instagram at all, or change what my marketing person is doing, because it's been successful so far. My husband agrees with me, but his parents are really laying on the guilt that I have so much support for my business, but she has no one to support hers. Am I the antagonist if I refuse to throw her a few likes or shares? Tell your sister-in-law that you already pay for a social media expert if your in-laws are pressuring you to do so for them. Maintaining a profitable Instagram account is not a human right, and nobody should profit from your venture. Comment by team member Jordan. Now for the top comments. NTA don't sacrifice your good business to the altar of her bad one. If she is going to be successful, she can be successful on her own merits or not at all. Next time in-laws ask, tell them that they should have their current jobs, or reach out to their old jobs, and have them promote the Instagram. Why wouldn't they? After all, NTA, you might find a good way to deflect, though, maybe to enthusiastically share the details of the guy who deals with your marketing. Every time she brings it up, just go on about what a good investment it is and how it's worth every penny. Either she'd follow your advice and not need you, or you'll manage to change the narrative so she feels pestered. If the latter, maybe keep on about it each time you talk, and she'll soon get fed up with talking about her blog. NTA, your business life and personal life having separate social media is good. Your sister-in-law should hire a social media marketing company like you if she wants to gain the followers. Offer her the contact info for your marketing person, but also make it clear to that person that you don't want to share her content and she can pay to get some professional help. The TL doctor is don't shit where you eat, so they would support her business such as it is, but not yours, not the a-hole. Your clients expect your content to be related to your business. She needs to accept no as a full sentence and a full answer. She can use someone else.